Welcome to the theTokyoBill Weekly, stories from Japan, told from Japan. This week, the people stealing the roofs off Japan's shrines and why the rest of the world is partly to blame. On May 21st, in Hamamatsu, a city in Shizuoka Prefecture, about halfway between Tokyo and Osaka, copper roofing panels were stripped from the buildings of several shrines, including one officially designated as a city cultural property. Damage was confirmed at 4 locations. At one of them, Hatsu-Oi Shrine, the chief priest described walking out to find that the whole front section of the main hall's roof had been taken. He said he never imagined something like that could happen somewhere so open and visible. And yet, here we are. This is not an isolated incident. It is not even a remarkable one anymore. It is, at this point, a running national story, one of those slow-moving crises that gets reported in fragments, prefecture by prefecture, shrine by shrine, and never quite accumulates into the headline it probably deserves. According to the National Police Agency, reported metal theft incidents in Japan skyrocketed from around 5,500 in 2020 to over 20,000 in 2024, nearly a 4-fold increase in 4 years. The representative of Jinja Honsho, the National Association of Shinto Shrines, described it as an act that, in their words, tramples on the hearts of people who worship and care for their deities. That is diplomatic language. Others have been more direct. Shrine priests around the country have described these crimes as desecration. Not just theft, but a violation of something that has stood for centuries and was trusted to still be standing in the morning. To understand why it's happening, you need to know 2 things: what shrine roofs are made of and what that material is currently worth. Shinto shrine architecture uses a variety of roofing materials: thatch, wood shingle, cypress bark, but copper has been one of the most prized and widely used. It weathers beautifully. Over decades, it develops that distinctive green patina you see on older shrine buildings across Japan, a color that reads as permanence, as age, as something that has been here a long time and intends to stay. It is also, it turns out, lightweight, easy to pry loose, and extremely easy to sell. Between 2024 and early 2026, copper prices rose by roughly 50%. Reaching record highs as demand expanded for AI data centers, smartphones, and other technologies. Major financial institutions revised their forecasts aggressively upward, with copper touching nearly $12,000 per metric ton on the London Metal Exchange in 2025, and analysts projecting it could go higher. The driving force is not traditional industry. It is the infrastructure of artificial intelligence. A conventional data center uses between 5,000 and 15,000 tons of copper. A hyperscale data center, the kind being built to run AI, can require up to 50,000 tons. And the world is building a lot of them. So, somewhere in the chain between a Silicon Valley campus and a remote mountain shrine in Tochigi Prefecture, the economics line up. Copper is worth more than it has been in living memory. Shrine roofs are made of copper. Shrine roofs are old, often in rural areas, rarely monitored at night. The math is not complicated. The question of who is actually doing this is worth sitting with for a moment, because it connects to a broader shift in Japanese crime that doesn't get much attention outside the country. Japan's traditional organized crime groups, the Yakuza, have been declining for years. The number of members and associate members of designated organized crime groups fell to 17,600 at the end of 2025, the 21st consecutive annual decrease and a new record low. There were more than 80,000 gang members as of 2009. The Yakuza are not gone, but they are a fraction of what they were. What has emerged in their place is something harder to police. Japan's authorities are increasingly dealing with what they call tokuryu, loosely organized, transient crime networks recruited partly online with fluid membership and no fixed hierarchy. These groups are not particular about what they steal. Copper wiring, manhole covers, expensive bonsai trees from people's gardens, anything that can be quickly converted to cash. Their lack of structure is precisely what makes them elusive. There is no leader to arrest, no organization to dismantle. One shrine in Kanagawa has been targeted 3 times since 2023, costing the volunteer community significant money and leaving its roof patched with mismatched materials. In Ishikawa Prefecture, police recorded 39 reports of theft at shrines and temples in just the first 4 months of 2026. Some of those shrines are in areas already stressed. Ishikawa was devastated by the Noto Peninsula earthquake in January 2024, and a special security response center was established there after reports of criminal activity increased in disaster-affected areas. Thieves targeting earthquake-damaged shrine buildings while communities are still rebuilding. That's where we are. The repair costs compound the problem. Traditional copper roofing on historic buildings can run into millions of yen to replace, and shrines are often maintained by volunteers or small communities with limited budgets. Many of Japan's smaller rural shrines are already struggling. Fewer parishioners, an aging local population, no obvious next generation to take over the maintenance. A theft like this doesn't just damage the roof. It can make an already precarious situation feel unsurvivable. Some shrines, after repeated theft, have simply given up trying to restore the copper and replaced it with cheaper materials. A shrine that has stood for 400 years, with a patinated green roof that was part of its identity, now has a patchwork of modern materials. That's not a tragedy that gets counted in any official statistic, but it is a real one. There is a thread running through several of this show's recent stories that I keep coming back to. Rural Japan is under pressure from multiple directions simultaneously. Depopulation, an aging population, declining institutions, eroding infrastructure, nature pushing back into abandoned spaces. The Bears episode was one version of that story. This is another. The shrines being stripped of their copper roofs are often the same shrines whose congregations have been shrinking for a generation. They are maintained by people who are themselves aging. They sit in communities that the young have left, and they are now being targeted precisely because no one is watching. There is something almost too neat about the full arc of this particular crime wave. An AI data center somewhere requires copper. Global prices rise. A loosely organized crew of thieves, recruited online, drives out to a mountain shrine at 2 a.m, pries off the roof panels, loads them into a van, sells them to a scrap dealer before dawn. The data center gets built. The shrine stands open to the rain. Nobody planned that connection. Nobody sits in a technology boardroom thinking about shrine roofs. But that is how systems work, or rather, how they fail. The demand is real, the price signal travels, and somewhere at the end of the chain, something irreplaceable gets sold for scrap. The Jinja Honsho, the Shrine Association, has urged its member shrines to be vigilant. That is the official guidance. What vigilance looks like for a rural shrine maintained by volunteers, with no budget for security cameras and no one to watch the monitors, even if they had them, nobody has a clean answer to that. That's the TokyoBill Weekly for May 23rd, 2026. I've been, and remain, Tokyo Bill. Thank you for listening, and take care.